Today, we shift gears to discuss the events of the past week. By the way, at about the exact moment that you decide that we don't share the same political ideology, you'll be tempted to leave a comment saying that I should stay in my lane as a marketing professor. Well, guess what? My lane and my studio is whatever the hell I want to discuss. But be clear, if you don't like this video, a full refund coming your way. Anyway, by the way, isn't it time for some raging moderates? We're not going to discuss the sedition, treason, assault, murder, and intent to commit mayhem that was on display last week, but something that has been present and mostly ignored to the nation's detriment. Today we discuss stupid. To begin to understand the behaviors and damage of last week, the real damage, we'll start by trying to better understand the catalysts and bring a technical definition to the word stupid. In the basic laws of human stupidity, Professor Chipola sorts humans into 4 quadrants based on 2 questions. 1, how beneficial are they to themselves? And 2, how beneficial are they to society? The resulting quadrants are the helpless, people that contribute to society even though they're not thriving. I would have called this cohort artists, but it's Professor Chipola's matrix. The intelligent are people who channel their intellect for the common good as well as themselves. The bandit, people not useful to the public, but smart enough to profit off of it. And finally, the lower left quadrant, the stupid, people that are not only destructive to themselves, but destructive to society. If that sounds like a group of white supremacists waving Trump flags, sporting Camp Auschwitz tees, and pillaging the U.S. Capitol, then trust your instincts. The Duck Dynasty mob is a textbook case of what Chipola referred to as stupid. So how did we get here? How did a mob of thugs dressed like Jamiroquai overrun the House of Democracy and penetrate the Capitol in a single day? That's the thing here. It wasn't in a single day. It's been building and happening for years. As Hemingway wrote about going bankrupt, this stupid assault on democracy happened gradually, then suddenly. And it didn't start with the stupid. It started 1 quadrant over with the bandits. Democracy has 2 primary lines of defense. The first are institutions, and the second, the press. What do they have in common? Both have been the subject of a relentless slander and manipulation campaign by elite-level bandits, most recently, our dictator-in-chief, who entered into an unholy alliance with Facebook and Twitter. The alliance reads something like this: you let me, the president, continue to spread misinformation and invective on your platform, violating your terms of service at every turn, and I won't break your ass up. We'll let you continue to profit from the proven formula. Enragement equals engagement equals Nissan ads equals shareholder value. The denigration of our institutions, particularly government and its agencies, commenced years ago. Since the Reagan Revolution of the 80s, a conservative philosophy of limited government has morphed into an anti-government screed. A similar denigration has been waged against the press. Fox News figured out tribalism can be profitable and has prioritized dollars over democracy. And CNN? It's better, but not much. All media companies do their utmost to increase engagement, which translates to increase in ad dollars. But in the brave new world of media, the biggest offenders are, you guessed it, big tech. Fox News is a dumpster fire of engagement, but Facebook has been a nuclear mushroom cloud of hate. Power abhors a vacuum, and as government and media have been kneecapped, opportunists have moved in, which brings us to the bandits, those who are destructive to society, but smart enough to profit from it. The head bandit, our president, who recognized this power and posted on average 3 false or misleading tweets a day throughout his presidency, resulting in almost, get this, 30,000 false and misleading tweets sent from Trumpistan over his presidency. Research at MIT found that on Twitter, inaccurate information presented not as opinion but presented as fact, that is actual fake news, is about 70% more likely to be retweeted than factual tweets. Is it any wonder that misinformation, and let's call it what it is, disinformation, has taken root in America? In some deranged, fucked up version of woke, we have tolerated the conflation of freedom of speech with freedom of reach into the dark corners of social media. We've also been infected with this dangerous both-sidedness where we need to understand the mob's pain. They're the Americans America left behind. They're the ones that didn't have access to higher ed. No, they're just stupid. And some of them, their titles begin with the term senator. Bandits obscured their real interest with a smokescreen of partisan politics and ideology. Trump says he believes in business. Hawley says he's a warrior for Christ. Cruz says he's a principled conservative. Zuck and Dorsey both proclaim concern for the free speech and that they want to bring voice to the unheard. What bullshit. They pursue one thing, power. These actors don't lean red or blue, but green. The power of these platforms goes well beyond disinformation. The riots were planned, hyped, managed, and live streamed through social media. If you don't believe big tech has grown too powerful, when Trumpism began its march, it wasn't the government or the media we turned to for help, but 30-something sociopaths and part-time CEOs hoping that they would mete out actual punishment. The sight of a mob overrunning the U.S. Capitol under the direction of a U.S. president demands we acknowledge that we have an epidemic of stupidity that demands swift and severe action. We should obviously arrest and punish the worst of the stupids, the people who broke into Congress, the desecrators, and the cop killers. That's an easy one. A selfie from the desk of the Speaker of the House should be a high-res, go directly to jail card. Until the bandits are held accountable, however, they will never run out of stupids. Put another way, putting the president in a social media timeout is insufficient. The incitement of violence against a co-equal branch of government is grounds for impeachment, conviction, and removal from office by Congress. If he had just one day left in office, Trump would still be a clear and present danger to the republic. The same is true of Senators Cruz and Hawley. They have been throwing around matches for years, and now they have to face the implications of their arson. On average, someone who gets a DUI has already driven drunk 200 times. Maybe you didn't mean to kill that family in the minivan, but your reckless behavior makes you a criminal and you need to face punishment. There has to be a political price for political malpractice. The other set of bandits, our tech overlords, are just as culpable. Zuckerberg and Dorsey didn't deplatform the president because they suddenly realized they're Americans, but because Stacey Abrams has ensured Democrats will now be overseeing the Senate committees charged with regulating these firms. They are incentivized by money, nothing else, and they have put propaganda and their propaganda for profit machines ahead of any sense of citizenship. This has to stop. Until there is more competition, meaningful economic penalties, and perp walks, social media firms will continue to do exponentially more harm than Enron and credit default swaps combined. I'm not saying both sides are the same or that all politicians are the same. Government and tech are full of what Chippewa called intelligent people, those who do well for themselves and do good for society. For example, this guy, New Jersey Congressman Andy Kim, who spent the night of January 6th helping to clean up the Capitol building. How do we get more intelligence and less banditry and stupidity in our society? At a deeper level, we must find ways to reassert the primacy of truth and reason in our discourse. We must recognize that there is a stupid and a truth, and that democracy was only built on one of those things. But the first step to repair, accountability. Show me someone who is calling for unity and for us to come together, and I'll show you someone who is trying to wallpaper over the damage they have levied. In 1941, several hundred young men refused to comply with the draft for World War II. Their fathers and their uncles had been maimed or killed in Europe for what appeared to be little reward. They had families to take care of. This was understandable. You could see their argument, and we put them in jail. We'll see you next week.